Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're gardening again today, and we're going to wrap up selling our seedlings. So how do we do that? So these guys have been, there we go, have been in their pots getting watered for 2 weeks now. So 2 weeks of being in these. Before that, they were in paper towels and plastic bags germinating in my window. So altogether, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks of work. Usually only about 4 weeks, but it depends. Depends how things grew. So remember, these are vine plants. They're not going to stand straight up all the time because these are cantaloupe. But depending on the type of plant you have, they'll either vine down like so, or they will grow up. So it depends on the plant. So 2 to 4 weeks of time to get these plants big enough to actually sell as seedlings. So you're just going to grab them and check them. Okay, so we've got good growth here. That's 2 weeks in the pots. There we are. So now these are actually ready to sell. Something like this you can sell. Okay, remember these are cantaloupe, so they're supposed to vine down. If you have other types of plants, they're going to stick up more. So whether they stick up or flop over depends on the type of plant. So you're just going to grab your guys. Okay, so here's a bunch of our guys. I'm just going to leave the rest and do them off camera. I've got hundreds. So what we're going to do now is we have to first make sure that your pots are still moist. Mine all are, good for me. So make sure your pots are all moist. Now you want to prepare these to sell. Okay, you can't just sell them in a pot like that. Though it's fantastic that they're in a pot, you can't just sell them like that. You have to mark them. So you're going to want to get yourself something that is designed to stick in your pots so you can identify your plants. Okay? You can either use these bigger dudes or you can use these little dudes. It doesn't matter. But get yourself something that you can write on with a permanent marker. I use a Sharpie. So Sharpies are good. Sharpies are great. But it doesn't have to be a Sharpie. Any permanent marker works. So what we're going to do now is we are going to write what this is. Now these are cantaloupe. All right, so because these are cantaloupe, that's what I wrote on my sticks. I prefer for selling plants, I like these little guys because they're cheap. These guys are a little bit more expensive, and I tend to use these in my garden. So for my selling plants, this is what I do. Okay, these little tiny guys because they're cheaper and they work just as well. So what you do is you pick a spot, shove that down in there, and now you've labeled your cantaloupe. So at this point, I would leave the lids off. So I'm not going to put the lids back on. Okay, so seriously, you just start taking your lids off, which I can't do with one hand. I can't do it with one hand. So you just start taking your tops off and labeling your plants. Okay, so you just start pulling those out, labeling them. So now what do? Now you got these beautiful plants that you are ready to start selling. So how you sell them kind of depends a little bit on where you are. Where I am, we have a lot of farmers markets and we have a lot of sales and things like that that I can book a table at and take my hundreds of plants to. I'm not doing that this year. Instead, this year I'm listing them online. So again, this is going to be very region specific, but we have something called Kijiji. It's kind of like Craigslist, but for Canadians. And I list them on there and they typically sell really fast. You might also want to try your local Facebook pages. So if you have a Facebook page, you can list these on your Facebook page or on your community Facebook page because they're just plants, okay? Make sure you tell people what they are. When you're labeling your plants, you're going to want to write what variety these are if you know. If you don't know the variety, don't write it down. Don't try to pretend you know the variety because people will get annoyed. So if you're selling tomatoes and people are like, well, what variety? You go, honestly, I don't remember. Right? Just tell them that. People are usually fine. They like tomatoes, they like peppers, they don't care. Most of the time, they do not care. Unless it's a really hot pepper, someone will get annoyed if you pretend they were bell peppers and they turn out to be Carolina Reapers. So, peppers you might want to keep track. But if you don't know the variety, it's completely okay. For some plants, people don't care. Like, people are not going to care which variety of cantaloupe they're getting. But for some varieties, like tomatoes, people tend to get a little annoyed if they get a beefsteak when they want an aroma. So depending on the plant, you might want to keep pretty good track of your different varieties. Okay, so here we got another one. These are actually looking really good, really nice. I am pretty happy with how they've gone, and they're going to get put up for sale later today. I've already got about 50 of them that are pre-sold, so yay. So again, you can sell them to friends, neighbors, strangers. If you have a lot or you have other things to sell, seriously, a farmer's market's not a bad idea. You get yourself a table, set yourself up, and you will be good to go. So that is the very basics of setting up plants for sale. You want a good quality pot, so you want decent pots, you want to label them. I will put a link to the particular pots I used for this particular section of plants. You can always use different plants. Look around for a good deal on your plants. I like the ones with lids, which is what I used in this video. If you can't get ones with lids, you can always use like plastic wrap or something to create your own little greenhouses. So that'll work just fine. Either way, I just hit a wind chime. Awesome. Either way, just kind of figure out what kind of pot you want to use. Remember, you do need to use a pot. You can't sell them just seedlings by themselves. They must be in a pot in order to be sold. So get yourself set up. If you want to make any money, like real money, you're going to need lots of plants. Okay, like I said, I have over 200 cantaloupes. I've got about 300 tomatoes. I've got, I think, 150 bell peppers. And then I've got a variety of like jalapenos and Carolina Reapers and stuff like that. Specialty peppers, some of each of those. Habanero is my favorite, and I have quite a lot of that. But I'm keeping most of the habanero for me. So, shh. I like habanero. So what you want to do is have volume, because you can't charge a ton for these. So for pricing, you're going to have to check out your local prices. So here, one plant in a pot, a cantaloupe, I can probably charge $4 to $5 for each plant. So that means if you have 100 plants for sale and you sell them all, you could make, depending on your local conditions, between $200 and $500. But you also have to remember that you can't charge more than your local greenhouse. Okay, so if your local greenhouse is selling cantaloupes for $6, you're going to want to sell yours for $4. So if you're as expensive as the greenhouse, you're probably not going to have a lot of luck. Okay, you don't want to be as expensive, so maybe knock off $1. The more variety you have, the more people will come. So try to go with variety. Okay, so you don't want just cantaloupe. You want cantaloupe, tomato, pumpkin, peppers. I didn't do pumpkin this year, but I do peas, I do beans, different. I have a purple bean that I'm growing this year, which is fantastic. So all of these different things work out really well. Okay, so you want to have variety, you want to have quantity. Otherwise, I mean, just selling 10 plants, okay, if you can charge $4 a plant, that's $40 you didn't have before and probably covers your supplies. So that's fine. But if you're looking to actually make money selling your seedlings, you have to do it in quantity. Okay? You have to do quite a lot.
Are you fine with them out here?
Ignore the fact that we now have dogs running around. So, hi, Tequila. Hi, Tequila. So if you are looking to sell your plants, remember you need quantity, you need quality. So these are pretty nice cantaloupes, and yes, they're supposed to drape over. As they get bigger, they do that because they're a vining plant. Cantaloupe, watermelon, pumpkin, they don't stand up. Okay, they kind of unravel across your lawn, which is a lot of fun. So we have that going on, which is fantastic. Don't overprice your goods, but don't undersell yourself either. That's one of the biggest problems, is if I sell these for $1 each, I'm not really going to recoup my costs. Okay, hi Gwen. I have a cat. Yes, if you see something under the picnic table, that's Gwen. Gwen being a bum. So that is the basics of selling your plants. Okay, you want to start them quickly. You want to get them potted as soon as they have little leaves. You want to weed out the ones that aren't growing very well. Don't sell anything that didn't really sprout nicely. So anything that's not as big as these guys is not really going to sell. Hi, Gwen. Yes, you're my Gwen. My Gwen baby. So you want to weed them out, sell only the good ones. Then you want to price them appropriately, and don't forget to label them so people know what they're buying. Okay? Don't get them mixed up. You don't want to sell someone a cantaloupe and it turns out to be a pumpkin. Don't do that. If people are buying cantaloupes, they want cantaloupes. Hi, Gwen. That's Gwen. There she is. Beautiful Gwen. There's my Gwen. Oh, dish on my Gwen. You're filthy because you're rolling in mud. But this is Gwen. So hi to Gwen. Whoa, Gwen. No, not go on the camera. Thank you. Gwen's helping with this video. We love Gwen. So anyway, that is really about it. Okay, sell at your local farmers markets, sell online, however you are comfortable selling. It's a lot of fun getting a table at a farmer's market or a sale. So if you want to do that, I really encourage it. You can meet a lot of fun people that way. There goes Gwen again. Hi, Gwen, baby. Hi, baby. Gwen's helping. That's about it for us today in Andersen Acres because now Moustache and Princess Orange are coming. So we're about to be overwhelmed by the cats. And they will not help. So hopefully we will see you tomorrow.